Recently, Minecraft's EULA and usage guidelines have come under some extreme scrutiny with a publicly funded lawsuit that's raised over $100,000 aimed at finally holding Mojang accountable. You see, for the longest time there has been a series of secret rules in Minecraft's EULA and usage guidelines that only certain people know. And in these secret rules and guidelines are the actual reasons why gambling and crates are allowed on servers, as well as the true reasons why servers are allowed to be pay to win. And these very same secret rules and guidelines may just be the very reason Mojang ends up being sued. But is there a case to be made here? Are Mojang actually breaking the law? Well, it's time to expose these secret rules. Now, the only way you find out about these rules is if you run a server which gets popular enough and get an email from Mojang themselves. As such, most of the public is very confused at how servers are allowed to feature gambling and be pay to win when the public usage guidelines for servers seem to disallow it. We'll start with gambling. But first, are you sick of terrible Minecraft performance and lag? Do you want to play Minecraft at high frame rates whilst also on the go? Well, this video sponsor, the new REDMAGIC 10 Pro, will blow you out of the water. Seriously, this thing is beginning to rival my PC. Look, let's cut to the chase. Most phones cannot run games well. Besides having low and unstable frame rates, they are uncomfortable to hold and use. This is not a problem for the REDMAGIC 10 Pro though. Here I am playing Minecraft Bedrock without even dropping below 144 FPS. That's probably a higher FPS than a good chunk of your guys' computers. I even logged onto my Minecraft server which has a notoriously laggy spawn, and I had zero problems. But what really blew me away about this phone was its performance on Minecraft Java, which you can play using Mojang launcher. I had tested the REDMAGIC 9S Pro, the previous generation of REDMAGIC's phones before, and it did well on Java, but the REDMAGIC 10 Pro was seeing around 200 frames per second consistently. I even tested it on my server again too, and the frame rate is shockingly stable. It's performing basically the same as my PC here. Clearly the performance of the REDMAGIC 10 Pro has significantly increased compared to the REDMAGIC 9S Pros, which felt great on the phone's 144Hz refresh rate display, the same as my computer's monitor. Yet there has not been a price increase whatsoever. Oh, and let's not forget the comfy inbuilt triggers, which you can make do whatever you want, alongside the ability to configure a bunch of game-specific settings and plugins, allowing the phone to function like an actual controller. With a whopping 7050 mAh battery capacity, almost double the latest iPhones, 16GB of RAM, 512GB of storage, an inbuilt fan and cooling system, and my personal favorite feature, a headphone jack, this phone really has it all. Honestly guys, every single thing about this phone is better than all other phones on the market. I may actually switch to using it as my daily driver. You know it's good when even other phone owners are jealous. Be sure to check out the REDMAGIC 10 Pro using my link in the description below. On the public usage guidelines under the service category, it is stated, regardless of how you choose to make money to support your server, you may only do so if all servers, entitlements, and advertising are suitable for audiences of all ages, with gambling explicitly cited as an example of unsafe and mature content that isn't allowed. But as I'm sure you are aware, almost all Minecraft servers feature crates and crate keys, otherwise known as loot boxes, which you can purchase a key for with real money, with the hopes of receiving one of the better items available in a gamble. So how are these servers allowed to have crates and crate keys if gambling is not allowed? Well, first of all, as it turns out, crates are actually allowed by Mojang provided they follow some select rules not publicly known. Here are the rules related to crates. First of all, crates, crate keys, and loot boxes are generally compliant if they have one of the following attributes. Items in crates are cosmetic in nature only. If the server contains PvP elements, the perks in crates do not give a competitive advantage. If the server contains PvP elements, the perks in crates are disabled in PvP areas. And finally, if crate keys are obtainable through normal gameplay means. Almost all servers get by as they comply with the very last dot point here, through a smart little loophole. On most servers which have a variety of crates and crate keys, there will always be one freely obtainable crate key, whether that be through voting on websites or through a free daily reward. In that free crate, there will be a small chance to obtain a key for the cheapest crate, the first of which costs real money to purchase, and then in that cheapest crate, there will be a small chance to obtain a key for the next cheapest crate, so on and so forth. Every crate contains the chance to get a key to the next best crate, and since the very first crate is free, technically you can get every crate without spending money, thus allowing them to exist. pretty slimy. Furthermore, there are other rules with crates too. If crates or crate keys are sold on a web store or directly in-game, the potential rewards you can get must always be listed, and the odds of getting each item must be listed too. This is the reason I know these guidelines, by the way, as the vote crate on my server og-network.net, a crate which you can't buy with money and can only get through voting, didn't have numerical odds listed for the items you could get, instead classifying them into rarities. So those are the secret rules and guidelines surrounding crates that aren't listed anywhere online. But that still doesn't answer the question of why loot boxes are even allowed in the first place, since they are considered a form of gambling. The usage guidelines specifically disallowed gambling, so how is it that crates are allowed? Well, that's where another major secret rule comes into play. When the guidelines state gambling is not allowed, what they are actually referring to is forms of gambling you would see in real life, such as a casino. Let me give you an example. If you have a server with an in-game roulette table, that server is now considered non-compliant, as it has forms of gambling that look like and function like systems of gambling that are present in real life. But since crates and crate keys aren't technically forms of gambling you'd see in real life or in a casino, they are fine. Once again, the only reason I know these rules is because a server called Origin Realms was forced to remove their in-game casino a while back, and I confirmed it with higher-up staff from GamerSafer, the company that runs the official Minecraft server list. This information is not publicly available anywhere. Let's talk about some more secret rules, this time specifically related to pay to win. For the longest time, and still to this day, players believe that pay to win Minecraft servers are not allowed because of this statement in the guidelines here. You may make money by charging for access to your server by selling entitlements that affect gameplay, provided they do not ruin other players' experience or give a competitive advantage in-game. Basically, you can sell pay-to-win ranks and perks as long as they don't give players a competitive advantage. But as I'm sure you all know, almost all servers sell ranks and perks that give you advantages such as giving you better gear, access to kits with strong items, spawners, money boosters, or just straight up in-game money and much more. So how come these servers are allowed to exist? Well, that's because there are once again secret guidelines as to what constitutes a competitive server and rules for how you can sell specific things. Let me show you. A few months ago, my Minecraft server, which has a pay-to-win modified SMP game mode that is PvE and non-competitive, received an email from Mojang. They took issue with the fact that our top donation rank had the ability to earn more money and XP from jobs. According to Mojang, items that can be sold for real money that affect gameplay, such as spawners, spawn eggs, money boosters, XP boosters, and more, are generally compliant if these items can be obtained by non-paying players through normal gameplay means that do not require extreme hardship, do not significantly impact or affect gameplay, and are not a fundamental or critical aspect of the server's design. So basically, you can sell a bunch of items and pay to win goods, provided they can still be obtained reasonably by non-paying players in-game, they aren't super powerful, or they aren't a fundamental aspect of the game mode. Now, these guidelines are still rather vague. I mean, who is the judge of if the items are significantly affecting gameplay or not, or if they can be obtained reasonably? Well, fortunately, the way Mojang seems to enforce this is related to if they consider a server competitive or not. You see, the only reason Mojang enforcement did not like the fact that you could get more money and XP from jobs is because my server also featured a leaderboard displaying the top balances of all players. Now, even though this leaderboard was purely cosmetic, considering you didn't actually get anything from being on top of it, there was nothing to win, and this server was PvE rather than PvP. It seems that having any form of leaderboard instantly makes your server competitive and thus non-compliant. Similarly, other servers in the past were forced to remove payouts, whereby players on top of leaderboards would be given real money PayPal payouts or server store credit as a reward at the end of each season, which further backs up this claim. As such, most servers can just remove leaderboards or remove any pay-to-win perks that directly give you money, and they can now be considered non-competitive and are thus EULA compliant. This is how all pay-to-win servers are allowed to exist. So the question now is, how the hell are players and server owners supposed to infer all of this information I've just given you from just one or two single short sentences in the usage guidelines? How are they supposed to know what constitutes a competitive server or not, what they can sell or not, how they can even design their game modes when this information is not publicly available anywhere? This right here is the big problem with Minecraft's EULA and usage guidelines. How are server owners supposed to know the rules and guidelines for crates, the rules and guidelines for gambling, and the rules and guidelines for being pay to win if the rules and guidelines are only told to them after they have broken them? I can't think of any good reason why these rules are not listed on the usage guidelines page. There's just no reason not to tell people this information. It doesn't make any sense. If you spent time and money setting up a server only for secret rules you are completely oblivious to affecting you later on, it could have negative consequences on your server's future. And speaking gaming of the future, be sure to subscribe so we can reach 800k subs, no pressure. These hidden rules and usage guidelines issues are one of the main points outlined in the recent video about the Minecraft lawsuit by Kian Bros. Basically, Kian is planning to launch a collective class action crowd-funded lawsuit against Mojang, of which he claims are breaking the law by not disclosing certain rules in the guidelines, as well as updating the guidelines without properly notifying users, as companies are legally required to do. An example of this is when companies update their terms of service and they have to send you emails. Specifically in Kian's case, in May of last year, out of the blue, a new Mojang directive now classified Minecraft guns and firearms as adult content in the usage guidelines, forcing a variety of gun servers which had been operational for years, including the one Kian had spent time and money developing, to remove guns from their servers. In a similar vein to the secret rules we've discussed earlier, this new gun change was not listed anywhere on the guidelines, which at that point hadn't been updated in over 3 years. No public post was made about it either, and the only reason servers knew they were now apparently breaking the rules was because they received emails from Mojang enforcement telling them to remove guns from their servers or be blacklisted. That's also not including the fact that guns had been fine on many servers, including Hypixel, for over 10 years, and now out of the blue, they were just supposedly not allowed. Some of these gun servers who are now considered non-compliant had been operational for years, and all of a sudden they were about to lose their thousands of hours of hard work, as well as probably tens of thousands of dollars spent, because of a random, out of the blue, unannounced change. This is a good example of how these secret guideline rules and changes can actually have severe negative effects, as one day these servers thought they were fine, and the next they are being told everything they've done for years is no longer okay. Now, eventually this new directive, after months of waiting from gun server owners, was seemingly overturned, and guns were made fine once more, but there also seems to be the chance that such changes could occur again, which has still left many gun server owners concerned about their servers' futures. And this is one of the main points of the lawsuit. Mojang legally shouldn't be able to simply change these guidelines and rules at random without properly notifying players, and they also shouldn't be able to have these secret rules that aren't publicly available anywhere. It's an anti-consumer practice to do so, as it places almost all power in the hands of the company and seemingly intentionally keeps users and consumers in the dark to ensure that ultimate power remains. It can also result in server owners investing lots of time and money into developing or even running a server, only to later be told that what they were doing isn't allowed, thus resulting in large time and monetary losses. It shouldn't be this way. If Mojang wants to allow crates and crate keys as well as gambling, then whatever. I disagree personally, but at least clearly list crate and gambling rules on the usage guidelines so everyone knows what they can and can't do, rather than keep them secret and only share them when a server breaks said rules. So, can Mojang actually be sued over this? Well, obviously I'm not a lawyer, but from what I understand, it will hinge on one main factor. In the usage guidelines, there is a statement at the top of the page which says, the Minecraft EULA, Microsoft Service Agreement, and Privacy Policy are legal agreements between you and us. The policies relate to your use of the Minecraft products. But then it also says, the guidelines presented here are to be followed along with the policies. They do not form part of the policies. What this seems to imply is that while the EULA is a legal agreement between users and Mojang, whereby Mojang has to notify users of any changes, the usage guidelines are not a legal agreement, and thus that same level of notification is therefore not required. Effectively, Mojang seems to claim that the usage guidelines are not a legally binding contract between users and Mojang. I asked Kian about this, and he tells me that since the usage guidelines still control what you can and can't do with the game, and can result in your server being blacklisted or your Minecraft account being suspended, the usage guidelines are a legal contract through attribution. This is one of the main points that seemingly will need to be successfully argued for in the lawsuit, but Kian mentions he's pretty confident in doing so. What happens next, only time will tell. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out REDMAGIC and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.